Hello there fans of the Supreme Duo channel, Tackle here, and I'm coming at you with another video. As promised, I'm going to be bringing two new Dragon Ball Misconception videos, Dragon Ball GT Misconception videos. Though, keep what I just said in mind regardless. Today we're going to be talking about Vegeta, and specifically, why Vegeta cannot transform into a Super Saiyajin 4. Or, realistically, if he can. Now, this may sound like a silly question, because in the actual Dragon Ball GT series, we see Vegeta become a Super Saiyajin 4. So, you may be asking, Tap, what are you talking about? Of course he can. We saw him do it in the series. And what do you mean he can't? He did it already. Well, there's a misconception in the Dragon Ball community, obviously, hence the video, that Vegeta is incapable of transforming into a Super Saiyajin 4. Rather, that he's incapable of doing it without Bulma's machine. Or that Bulma's machine is the reason he transformed in the first place. Now, these are both obviously fallacious arguments and not accurate at all to anyone who's watched Dragon Ball GT. But regardless, I'm here to spread truths and to explain why Vegeta can or cannot transform into Super Saiyajin 4. And the reasoning will be rather simple, so I hope you can follow along. Now, when Vegeta is considering the gap between himself and Son Goku, he states that the only gap between them is the Super Saiyajin 4 transformation itself, which makes sense. Vegeta and Goku are usually portrayed as equal, so it makes sense that in order to catch up to Goku, he'd need to have an equal transformation to Goku. And you can see this in almost every iteration of the series. The Cell arc, Vegeta has ascended Super Saiyajin rather than mastered Super Saiyajin. Yeah, in the Buu arc, he has Super Saiyajin 2, while Goku has Super Saiyajin 3. In Dragon Ball GT, Goku has Super Saiyajin 4. And then in Dragon Ball Super, there are too many transformations in that series to name, and I don't even really feel like talking about that series, so let's just really get into the video. As I've already mentioned, Vegeta only considers Super Saiyajin 4 to be the difference in their strengths, so he and Bulma hypothesize why he cannot become a Super Saiyajin 4. Bulma has two theories. The first is that baby's Transformations cells were in the way, preventing Vegeta from achieving the transformation, and two, that Vegeta Vegeta flat out might not have been strong enough to undergo the transformation. Now, these are both hypotheses, or is there plural? Hypotheses? Whatever. Regardless, these are both just ideas being thrown out by Bulma. These are not facts, so you cannot state that these are the reasons why Vegeta cannot become a Super Saiyajin 4. Rather, you should look at the actual series and how the transformation works. Now, we've done a video about the Dragon Ball GT Super Saiyajin forms, including Super Saiyajin 4 specifically, and the requirements to achieve that transformation. And you'll notice, after that video is up, that within those guidelines and requirements is a tail. That's right, I propose to you that the reason Vegeta cannot become a Super Saiyajin 4 on his own without Bulma's machine is due to his lack of a tail. And if you pay attention, that's really the simple answer. Now, if you notice, when Elder Kai was going to have Goku achieve the form, the first thing he did, and the only thing he did, the only way he thought he could draw out Goku's latent power, was with the removal of his tail. Now, anyone familiar with Dragon Ball would think they're just going for the simple tails make Saiyajin stronger argument, but rather, Elder Kai's goal was for Goku to become a Super Saiyajin 4, which first required that Goku have his tail pulled out, and he became a Golden Uzuru, and then he found calmness within himself, and achieved an even greater height of power, Super Saiyajin 4. This is obvious to anyone who's watched the Baby arc, but I'm reiterating it here because people seem to forget it when they look at Vegeta. They usually go with either Vegeta isn't strong enough, or they go with the argument that Vegeta couldn't do it because of baby's Transformations cells. Now, I'm going to explain why neither of those arguments work. The first argument, that Vegeta isn't strong enough to become a Super Saiyajin 4, is simply flat out wrong. Now, if we look at baby Vegeta specifically, baby Vegeta was outpacing Super Saiyajin 3 Son Goku and just a Super Saiyajin 4. So obviously, Vegeta at that point was much stronger than he had ever been in the franchise beforehand, and clearly strength was not the factor holding him back from ascending. Furthermore, if we look at the Super 17 arc and Shadow Dragon arc, we can see that Prince Vegeta is as strong as he's ever been. He surpasses Maju in just Super Saiyajin during the fight against Super 17, And you can see this in the fact that he's the only one able to react to Super 17, the only one left standing when Goku arrives, and the only one capable of putting up any sort of fight. So in just his Super Saiyajin form, he surpasses Maju, who, if you pay attention to Dragon Ball GT, was much stronger in the Super Saiyajin 3 Son Goku of the previous arc. So Vegeta, once again, in just his Super Saiyajin form, is far stronger than Super Saiyajin 3 Son Goku when he first became a Super Saiyajin 4. So clearly, strength would not be a determining factor, considering the fact that Vegeta was much, much stronger than Goku was when he first achieved the form. That leads us to the second argument, where it is baby's testosterone cells that was preventing Vegeta from achieving the Super Saiyajin 4 transformation. However, if you pay any sort of attention to the series, you'll note that this couldn't possibly be the case. Alright, baby's testosterone cells did not prevent the Golden Uzuru transformation, so why did it prevent the Super Saiyajin 4 transformation? I admit that this is a smart hypothesis by Bulma to note what difference between Goku and Vegeta existed at the time, those being strength and the fact that Vegeta was infected by Baby. But you'll note that the real reason he couldn't transform was because he couldn't achieve calmness of mind. Now, note that Vegeta, in that instance, was the one who was the Golden Uzuru. Vegeta, not Baby. Baby was a puppeteer. He was the one controlling Vegeta's body. And he was only doing that, controlling his body, because as we established in the Buu arc, Vegeta's mind cannot be controlled. So because Baby's mind was not linked up with Vegeta's mind, he couldn't find the calmness of mind to become a Super Saiyajin 4. Which is good, because if he had become a Super Saiyajin 4, he would have easily destroyed Goku. But it's the simple fact that Vegeta was not in control of his body at the time that he did not achieve Super Saiyajin 4. Because Vegeta has complete control of the Uzuru state and would have achieved it easily and effortlessly. And now, as we draw to the conclusion of this video, I'll go over the final misconception about this, and that's that Vegeta needed the machine to transform to Super Saiyajin 4. Now, this is an argument I really only hear from down players or people who just flat out aren't very intelligent. And I don't like to say things like that often, because, I'm just a guy. Who am I to determine someone's intelligence or lack thereof? But really, you just need to watch the scene to understand what's going on. So what happens is Bulma fires the Roots waves at Vegeta, and they're amplified because she's not using any moonlight this time. She's directly dousing with radiation, so she needs to amplify the waves additionally for the radiation to affect Vegeta's body without him having a tail. And what it does is it forces Vegeta's body to grow a tail and react to the Roots waves, causing him to become an Uzuru. Now, if you note, all it did was give Vegeta a tail and cause him to transform into an Uzuru. Vegeta transforms into a Golden Uzuru under his own power, and then he achieves Super Saiyajin 4 under his own power through the calmness of his mind. So it's really just that simple. Vegeta only needed the machine to supply the tail. He took care of the rest on his own. He was far strong enough to achieve the form, and being someone who has complete control over his Uzuru state, he's actually at a greater chance to achieve the form than Goku was. So, if you ever see anyone out on the street saying that Vegeta in GT was too weak to achieve Super Saiyajin 4, he needed the machine, that's just flat out incorrect. He only needed the machine to supply a tail. Once he had a tail, he took care of the rest himself, like any true prince would. And to a minor note, to anyone who thinks Vegeta wouldn't do this, just note that it's character development on Vegeta's part to allow Bulma to assist him in ascending. And also note that she's not doing anything too otherworldly. There's no other way for Vegeta to obtain a tail in that instance, and they need him to do it in that instance. So it's logical that Vegeta would go, hey, you know what, just hit me with the Roots waves, and I'll ascend. That being said, I hope that you've enjoyed my brief little explanation. I'll also go over briefly that Goku's ability to ascend to Super Saiyajin 4 on his own is actually unique to him. We're not really aware if anyone else can do that. Goku himself and Vegeta both state that Goku is a special case for being able to ascend to Super Saiyajin 4 whenever he wants. Of course, I personally believe that this is only due to his tail, but there isn't much evidence to the contrary due to the fact that Dragon Ball GT is over. However, we could assume that if Vegeta were to grow out his tail, he'd be able to achieve Super Saiyajin 4 whenever he wants. And it might even be possible without his tail, as we see in other parts of the franchise, specifically in video games like Dragon Ball Heroes and Dragon Ball Xenoverse, that Vegeta is able to achieve the form under his own power without a tail. So it's possible he became a special case just like Goku. But that's discussion for another day. For right now, we're just establishing the fact that Vegeta can in fact transform into a Super Saiyajin 4, and the only reason why he cannot is due to his lack of a tail. That being said, this has been Tackle and Wait of the Supreme Duo channel. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. I hope you can use this video to stop the spread of misinformation and downplay of Dragon Ball GT. Remember to keep GT strong by hitting that subscribe, like, and share button. Get this video out there. And enjoy the rest of your day. This has been Tackle and Wait of the Supreme Duo channel. Signing out. Peace.